Just wanted to double check. There we go.
There we go. All right, you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. All right, welcome to my YouTube channel. Chris, thank you so much for hopping on. Today, I'll be interviewing Chris Bello, who's a real estate agent out of Denver.
I'm in Denver, but really anywhere, right? We're talking about virtual real estate today.
Yes. So if you guys want to learn how to become a virtual real estate agent, you definitely need to pay attention to this interview. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to my channel. Like the video if you do like it, and give it and share it.
Thumbs up. Oh, well, that's the
like
same
it and
thing
give it a thumbs up, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to
smash that like button.
Yeah, smash that like button. So I'm really excited to dive in because I think just like you were saying, everybody wants to become virtual. So we're gonna dive into that. But first, let's get a background on you, who you are, where you're from, and what do you do?
For sure. I love doing the quick background because I think a lot of people can relate to it. I never really took the time to think about what do I actually want to do when I grow up. I think most people when we're kids, we want to be a firefighter or like be an astronaut or a superhero, all these ridiculous things. It seems like you think now and you're like, that's so unrealistic. And at some point, we just assumed, well, I should be, in accounting or go to law school or just get a business degree. Yep. And so I did that. I saw all my friends, I went to a college prep, like Jesuit high school. And then most of them it was like an all boys school. There's an all girls school right next to it. And I just, it was just different because like you had to have your hair cut short and had to wear a dress code. And so that was kind of my life. But a lot of my friends went to Texas A&M. So I followed them there. I studied business and it was helpful. I learned some good stuff. The networking was great. But again, I still never took the time to think, what do I actually want to do with my life? So I ended up working in oil and gas, got my dream job. I'm using air quotes because I'm like, I assume that's my dream job because it pays double my other offers that I got. Oil and gas pays pretty well. And 3.5 years in, I was just like, man, is it just me? I'm not interested. Like, I don't like going to work every day. The meetings don't keep me engaged. You're literally sitting in a meeting for 3 hours, reviewing items line by line on like parts that you're ordering and stuff. And that's not like all that I did, but still, it just every day just seemed a little monotonous. Mm-hmm. And so I quit the job 3.5 years in, didn't really know what I was going to do. I didn't land in real estate right away, but after stumbling on a few things, real estate always kind of was at the back of my mind. And I finally just figured, you know what? Everyone's a beginner at one point. I know I didn't study it. It wasn't my degree, but I can figure it out. Right. And so here we are a couple of years in, doing deals virtually, closing, helping clients that I've never really showed houses to in person. And so also have a podcast that passed 1 million downloads this year. So it's kind of cool what can happen when you set your mind. Thank you. I know I'm like, now I feel legit. I have the podcast mic and the lighting, the ring light, but now I actually have the downloads too. So
well, you got to start from somewhere, right?
That's the thing. And I realized like, you see all these people, they've got 2 million followers and they've got 1 million downloads and they're driving amazing cars. Most of them didn't, like nearly all of them probably didn't start off that way, right? They started like Salt Bay guy. I saw a meme of him. He was like working in the kitchen and now he's like, everyone's mimicking him and doing what he does because he worked and he branded himself. And same thing, people in real estate, people in different industries, they all started from somewhere, right? Like started from the bottom in many cases.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So all right, so you mentioned that you started off in oil and gas. It's funny because I have a mentor who started off in the oil and gas industry, and he was making a lot of money as well. I mean, he was making six figures.
Golden handcuffs, yeah.
Yeah, he was making 6 figures very comfortably, but then he also got into real estate and made his transition out of there. So it's really interesting you mentioned that. So I was actually doing a little stalking, and I was scrolling through your YouTube channel, and I realized that you started your channel around like music. Well,
yeah.
About that, were you like a drummer, a guitarist? Like, what were you doing?
Yeah, so I played the drums. It's funny. I just left all the videos up there because it's interesting to see when people start. If you look at the oldest videos, even Gary Vaynerchuk or whatever, it's like terrible quality 10 years ago, and it has like 1,000 views maybe, and then they start to compound, right? More and more videos, better content. You see the newest stuff. So that's like a hack that I do too. I sort oldest to newest to see where do people start. Yep. But my passion in high school, I guess, I started playing the drums in 5th grade. I don't really play that much anymore. It's not as big of a passion for me, but I did spend hours playing music, playing at talent shows, having some bands. I'm using air quotes again. We never really played real shows, It was more for fun
Yeah.
and to drive my neighbors crazy and my parents. But we've got plenty of videos of like jamming, playing metal, and one of my
Yeah.
friends headbanging, and it would get very loud in there, but it was really fun. But again, it's like things change and my priorities have shifted. So when I moved to Denver, we're renting a small place right now as we look for a place to house hack to like live in one side and rent out the other of a duplex.
Mhm.
I didn't even bring my drums. I left it at my parents' house. I'm like, hey, you guys can sell it if you want, keep it here, whatever. My younger brother can play them. That's fine. Um, it's just like passions change, but also instead of me pouring 2 hours a day into drumming, I'm pouring it into things like my podcast and into real estate.
Right. Yep. Same here with me. I just, I went from I started my YouTube channel around like basketball and like being a vegan and everything like that. And then it
Yeah.
changed to real estate. But I left those videos up there kind of for my own like knowledge of just like, okay, this is where I was and this is where I am
You're
now.
documenting the journey. Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's okay to change. Like you don't have to know what you want to do. Like I could start making videos tomorrow about like making homemade slime and like change my channel to that, but I don't know if I'm passionate about it. Maybe if I tried it, but it's been like, I haven't done this since like third grade. So I don't know.
Right. So let me ask you, I know that, all right, so you got into real estate, but you didn't get into real estate as an agent right away, or did you?
I did not. So I actually got started with a wholesaling company. A house buying company is probably what most people would see those as. I heard them on a podcast, the Bigger Pockets podcast, huge real estate podcast. And this was right after Hurricane Harvey. So there were a lot of properties that didn't have insurance because they flooded due to like the levees and stuff and just more water than people were used to. And so unfortunately, a lot of people lost a lot of money, took a big hit. But a lot of investors got started in Houston, like friends that I know, they got their start picking up houses by using bandit signs and things like that, buying these properties as is. So I heard them on a podcast and I reached out. I'm like, hey, one of the owners went to my university. There we go. I got an in. I can play that card. Say, hey, I went to Texas A&M. I'm class of 13. I live 10 minutes away. Like, do you guys have a spot? Because I'm ready to start working. I'll work for free. I offered that. I was like, I'll work for free to learn this because I need a mentor. And they kind of created a position for me. And that's how I got my foot in the door. And from there, I went on to get my real estate license and move more to the retail side as well. Cause there's more opportunities. Not everyone wants to sell their house, 70% of ARV minus repairs, like unless they're in a tight spot or their house needs like thousands of dollars of work.
Yes. So it's really interesting that you mentioned that because I really admire people who are able to take a step back and be willing to learn from other people.
Yeah.
Because I think too many times we just want to like start receiving without being willing to give. Like the same thing with you. Like if I want to learn something and I know somebody's really successful, I don't care if I can just work for free or do whatever.
Yeah.
Is because you think the long game and understanding like, all right, if I learn this skill, I'll be good regardless. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it's like a mindset shift that I've come across over the years from reading books and learning and understanding what you can get from just education and proximity that far outweighs the money. Because I wasn't quite making six figures yet in oil and gas, but I was on the path. I started off at like 65, then I got promotion. I think I left, I was at 80 or 85K a year, benefits, 2 weeks vacation. They paid for me to live in the Middle East for 6 months when I did a trip out there. That was cool.
Wow.
So that was a cool experience. But at the same time, I took a step back. I think I pretty much took a pay cut, like by 50%. I was commissions and a little bit of base. But as you get your feet wet and you start, most people probably take 3 or 4 months to really get that first deal and understand, how do I run the comps? Like when I see a deal, how do I know it's a deal? How do I market it? So I think it took me like 3 months to close my first deal. And when I looked at it and it was all said and done, I think I made like 30 grand or 35 grand. It was like, man, I had to adjust. I wasn't making this good oil and gas money anymore. I was kind of blowing through some of my savings, trying marketing on my own on the side. But the knowledge that I learned, that was the cool part. I don't know if we talked about it last time when we connected, but within 6 months, I did a wholesale deal with a $32,000 assignment fee on it.
Wow.
And it was cool because the owners were like, dude, it took us 4 years to get to that level where we were doing deals like that. And you did it in 6 months. And I was like, that's the power of a mentor, because they downloaded their 7 years of knowledge into me. And in 5-6 months, I was doing what took them 3 years to figure out the first time on their own.
Right.
So that is the cool power of just proximity and we still do business together. They send me some retail leads all the time, and I send them motivated sellers.
That's really funny. Funny enough, because I literally just made a video about how to get more listings as a real estate agent by working
That
with
work with wholesalers.
yeah, one of
Because
the
they
most
like
it's
80% of their deals are not qualified for them to buy, and they just throw
exactly
them away. Yeah.
exactly. Because when I was wholesaling, I was referring all those retail leads out. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
if I just became an agent, I could probably take all this business.
That is exactly what I kind of discovered, because they had their license too, but we'd refer stuff out, listings. This would be the guy to go to. And I'm like, gosh, he's just listing this. Maybe he would like cut 1% or something to like help out, since he was getting a free lead of his commission, but it was just leads being fed directly to him. So that's when I realized, like you just mentioned, you're losing out on a lot of opportunity if you can't list it on the market or have that retail strategy. And I think a lot of people are moving more towards that investor/agent model, where you can either wholesale it or flip it, or you can list it as a realtor on the MLS.
Yeah, I saw that you had Trevor Mock on your channel the other day.
Yeah, he talks a lot about that.
Yeah, because I was all into Carrot. I still have Carrot. But yeah, all into the investor agent strategy. But things kind of shifted for me in a sense, because I just naturally started attracting way more buyers. And I'm just like, all right, well, let me run with this, see how it goes. I kind of shifted from,
From
marketing
the wholesale
sellers.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was just like, all right, let me see how it is to work with buyers. And that's how I came across, basically
Very
trying to
cool.
figure out how to be a virtual agent. So we're going to dive more into that. So before we move on though, so you were working for the home buying company. Did you actually start to wholesale yourself individually, or did you stay within the company when you were wholesaling?
So I did stay within the company. I mean, they kind of had like a non-compete thing, So I realized, well, if I sign this, technically I can't compete. And I talked to some people, they're like, man, they can't really enforce it. They're not going to, but still I like these people. Like, they're cool. They taught me everything. They'd stay late, we'd be at the office. They had that really cool small company culture of like 6 p.m. People are there because they want to be, not because they have to be. And they have cool Grant Cardone, like motivational posters everywhere. Like, money is my duty, responsibility, and obligation. So I really felt like the vibe. We'd play ping pong and stuff at the office after work. So part of it was like, I know they probably can't stand up to this non-compete, or they wouldn't, but I just don't want to like make them feel like I went behind their back, or I'm trying to be a direct competitor right after leaving them. And so that's why I kind of maintain that boundary. Like, hey, let me let them do the wholesale stuff, just get a little fee or a referral fee on the side. And it's worked out well, because they've sent me a few retail leads. They bought someone's house who had needed a lot of work, and he wanted to take the cash and the proceeds and buy a smaller place that was like fresh and a fresh start. And literally, like, they gave me the lead, and like 2 weeks later he closed cash, and I made like $4,000. So and I still paid a referral fee too. So like it was a win-win, because they have their real estate license.
Right.
So yeah, short answer to the question, I didn't really wholesale on my own. I have the knowledge and I've had the conversations, but it tends to just be like, most people want to get the most money possible. They're willing to wait an extra 3 weeks to get that higher offer. So I tend to kind of just put it up on the MLS, because you can also attract more buyers.
Gotcha. So I guess it's funny because you said so 32,000 was your biggest deal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So and that was probably a deal that the seller really, like, they really needed help on that deal, right?
Yeah, they were 3 or 4 months behind, or 3 months behind on the mortgage. Like, literally, they were about to get foreclosed on like in a week or two if we did close.
So that just shows the power of wholesaling, because one of my biggest deals, biggest wholesale deal was 25,000, and that was like the best deal ever, because the lady just really needed to get out of the house, and this is where the value of wholesalers come in. Is like
100%.
These people need to get out of these houses, and typically these aren't the same houses that realtors target usually.
Right.
That's why I'm just like, there shouldn't really be any competition between real estate agents and wholesalers. There should be just mainly collaboration.
Yeah.
So, okay. So with that, so what made you actually leave the home buying company and like get into the retail side only?
Yeah. So I guess the way that it was structured, the commissions and stuff, it was usually, I think, and people play with the numbers, and I've heard different things on podcasts of like what you should pay people. So I just found, after a year, I thought I would be doing more. I thought I'd be further along. It was very challenging for me to stick to just business development, is what they had me doing. So I was bringing Chick-fil-A for realtors and talking about, hey, who has a house that smells like cat pee? And like, no one would no one would pay attention or care. It's like 8 a.m. on a Wednesday and they're just there for like CE classes. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, if you ever have a house like that, we buy it, you know, you can get 6% commission. Like I have the whole pitch, but it was very unpredictable. Like maybe one person would be like, hey, talk to me after I got a property like that. Can you look at it? And usually I feel like realtors were the biggest like deal blockers because they're like,
yes,
no, we can't take that. There's no way. Like we can get more. They know the comps on the market. They can talk their seller out of accepting a wholesaler offer in most cases, because to be fair, yeah, they probably can get more in the MLS and they don't really see the value that wholesalers can provide. So I just found like it was just fighting an uphill battle, but I also did the numbers and I was like, man, I'd have to do like 5 deals at this company with their 20% of the wholesale fee commission. So like if there was a $10,000 assignment, I would make $2,000 versus if I just got a couple of $300,000, $400,000 listings or buyer clients, I didn't have to do as many deals to make as much or more money. And so it just made sense. I'm like, man, instead of doing 5 wholesales a month at this company, which obviously I'm not even there yet, I'm doing like 1 here, 2, and then like 1 falls through and it's another small month, versus just doing the retail stuff. I can do less. There's a book called Essentialism. It talks about doing less, but better.
yes.
I was like, that's what I can do. I can work on fewer deals, larger transactions, make more money by doing less work. So it's like a win-win all around.
That's interesting because when I started my wholesaling journey, so we have 2 very different journeys. You started with a company, you know, working under somebody. I started my own. And It's like, yeah, you can make a lot of money doing it by yourself, but
it might also take 6 months for you to close a deal.
It might also take 6 months. It might also take $6,000 in marketing. Like you're going to spend a lot of money marketing. So now I'm like, oh man, like what would have my journey been like if I started with a home buyer? And I'm just like, wow, like that might've been more productive. You know what I mean? Cause I would have learned under their supervision and under their numbers and everything, you know? So
that's the thing too, is the accountability, because I was in the same shoes as you. I watched a couple of YouTube videos. I'm like, Maxwell wholesaling, holy crap, I'm about to buy some bandit signs and like send out mail. But then I start asking the questions, well, what happens when they call? What do I say? You know, you go to a 3-day weekend seminar and you're more confused. You're like sub 2 and like rap and like, oh my goodness, what am I getting myself into? Right. So that's why I was like, I need a mentor, but I ain't going to pay $50,000 to be in like one of these places that mentor you through your first deal. I'd rather get paid to learn. So like you mentioned, I mean, there's pros and cons. I've seen people do it successfully on their own, but I feel like most people who are getting in entrepreneurship for the first time, they're too unorganized. There's too many different things. There's no one watching you, telling you what to do. So you're like, am I even doing the right stuff? You know, I still feel that way, but I still love having the freedom and flexibility to at least make my own mistakes.
Yeah, it's so many variables when you're just doing it by yourself. Like,
you're just like, okay, send out direct mail, see what happens.
And like, that was our problem. I started with my brother and we made money. Like, so we did Maxwell's challenge, his 30-day challenge, won it. Maxwell invited us to his mastermind. So that's how we met like Gary Vee. We met like some other big time, like real estate investors. And so we were just like pumped up after that. And then like within that time period, we also closed like another deal. So we made like almost 50,000 in like 2 or 3 months. So it was crazy. But then when we came back, we started spending money on all different types of marketing. And we just didn't have the guidance that we felt that we needed, I guess, at the time. And we were just trying to, do everything and see what sticks. And that's just not how you run a business.
Right. And that's the power of having a mentor, or I guess a qualified vetted coach, is that they can hold you accountable. They're like, only do mail, send this many a month. This is what it needs to say, versus like, what if we do mail? What if we get cold callers? What if I have a VA like text people, And now all of a sudden you signed up for 5 different things and you're spending like $3,000, $4,000 a month, and you're not getting any consistent leads. And then, a couple months later, you're like, whoa, where did all this money go? We just spent $20,000 and we have nothing to show for it.
Yep, been there.
Yeah.
And this is no means by blaming Max. He was great. We just didn't. It's not like he wasn't like personally coaching us after that. He just
It's just the business. Like it's more challenging. It seems super simple, and you're like, oh my gosh, you can make $30,000 with no money down, but you got to spend some money to make money. You got to advertise or door knock or put in time if you're not going to put in money. So I mean, it's not like you can call Max on his cell phone. He's a busy dude. He's got hundreds of thousands of YouTube subscribers, right? He's like teaching this stuff at scale. And so like you can't necessarily just get get them to answer a question if something comes up and you're like at an appointment, like, man, I wish I could call Max right now. You're like,
Right.
yeah, but you can't because he's like filming a YouTube video.
Exactly.
So I get it. It's not his fault. It's like,
and he wasn't even doing personal coaching at the time. I don't
this was
even,
before, yeah.
I
don't know if he even does it now.
Yeah, I don't think he does it, but we had access. But like you said, it wasn't like, oh, I could just call him.
Like
you know what
right
I mean?
now, yeah.
So anyway,
and usually people will take advantage. I mean, there's ways to JV a deal where you're working with somebody, they'll give you advice. They may answer the phone right away or like go on an appointment with you, but it is hard to find good people that aren't going to try to take advantage of you sometimes because you're like hesitant too. You're like, what if I bring them in on this deal and they cut me out and I make nothing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of fears.
There are a lot of fears, but when you get around the right people, you don't even have to worry about that. So
exactly.
So okay, so you went from wholesaling underneath the company to now becoming a real estate agent. So did you initially start out working with buyers, or did you start working with sellers, or how did that kind of transition?
It was kind of interesting because since I had been posting already for a year and a half about real estate and, hey, we buy houses like this. Does anyone know of any off-market properties? Like I was trying to find those deals. And I even had my parents, they bought a deal and did a flip. They weren't too big of a fan of that. They're like, gosh, we're going to Home Depot every day. And my mom's out there like cutting the grass or, they're doing all this stuff that they should have just hired out. But I mean, they tried it. They didn't lose money, but they barely made any. It was just more of a lesson. And so I did have a lot of people knowing that I was in real estate. And because of that, when I got my license, it was relatively easy to start attracting buyer clients, like primarily investors. Mm-hmm. I went to a couple of like meetups, like Bigger Pockets meetups in Houston, not official Bigger Pockets, but like through their site, you can put events together. Mm-hmm. And I remember meeting a couple of clients. One guy, he's probably 23 right now. He already bought 2 houses with me. He's house hacking. He saved like 99% of his income. Another guy bought 3 properties with me and he leased one out and maybe he's wanting to buy another one too. So I think I had 5 or 6 transactions last year alone from just people I met at like 1 or 2 networking events. Like I could pinpoint the events I went to that produced those results. Mm-hmm. But I have been more listing heavy now. More people are seeing that I've got listings for sale. And I guess, leads, listings, leverage is what Gary Keller talks about, the triangle in the millionaire real estate agent. So I really love focusing on listings. They give me the most leverage because people are out there looking at my listing while I'm talking to you, and then they're submitting offers. It's in my inbox. I don't have to schedule showings or pay people to show houses for me. That tends to work out best, even though I do have some buyer clients as well, but I prefer listings. And right now I'm more listings heavy.
Okay. Right. So buyers.
All right, yes, so working with buyers.
Yeah. So you said that you did start out working with buyers, but now you're more listings heavy. So yes, listings definitely gives you more leverage. But what do you do now when you do attract buyer clients? Do you work with them or do you refer them out, or how does that work for you now?
It kind of depends. While I do like to refer out sometimes I find, it really just takes a couple of showings and then making an offer and I can keep the whole commission. Like selfishly, like I do want to help the clients and have a good deal for them. But at the same time, I don't feel like I'm doing a disservice to them because I'm like, look, I'm knowledgeable. I know how to run the comps. If I see photos in a video, it's just as helpful as me being there in person. Like the crack on the phone, if I see a photo and a crack in the wall, I don't have to be sitting there to like see it. I know what that means and foundation issues. Like I can spot those types of things because of my experience. Right. And that was super important and foundational. What I learned with the wholesale company, yes. I could spot stuff and be like, okay, this is no big deal. Or, oh my gosh, that roof, I can tell you that thing needs to be replaced, right? Like that, knowing that and understanding and having a good feeling, but also knowing that like all shacks are good shacks until proven otherwise. Like one guy told me that and I'm like, you've seen some rough houses, mold, fire damage, like it's a deal if you buy it at the right price. So I feel like I can send that confidence to my clients as well. But to answer the buyer question, I do have a handful of showing agents. Like they can easily show houses within 6 hours if I need them to. But in most cases, I'll tell my clients, hey, look, give me at least a 24-hour heads up. Send me whatever properties you want to see. I'll check with one person. If she's not available, I'll check with this other person. And then they'll send you the itinerary. And I put them in a group text and literally they're like, hey, here's the 3 houses we're going to see. We're meeting here at 2 p.m. See you there. And I just pay them $25 per house. So like for 75 bucks, they look at 3 houses. And if they make an offer, it could be like a $10,000 commission that I don't have to split.
Right, right. So this is exactly how you're implementing the virtual agent model, I guess, right? Because you're having agents go out and show properties for you, and then all you have to do is put in an offer, negotiate, do all that stuff, and close the deal, right?
Yeah, and I don't even do that. I have my TC write up my transaction coordinator writes up all the documents.
Really?
It's that dialed in. And the best example I can think of the leverage, there's a place, if anyone's familiar with Houston, or it's a big place, but from Houston to Conroe, from like downtown to Conroe is like an hour on the highway. It's a long drive. And my clients sent me a house. This was last year. I was still living in Houston, but this was like still remote in a way because I was too lazy to drive out there. I already had a busy weekend. I showed a bunch of houses. I did like an open house at a lease listing and got like no showing. So I was like over it that weekend, I'm like, I'm not doing anything else. They texted me on Saturday evening, like, hey, Chris, can we go see this house on Lake Conroe? Which again, I put it in my GPS and I'm like, gosh, it's an hour away. That's immediately 2 hours of driving. And before I just said no, or I just said, okay, well, fine, I'll do it. I texted a showing agent, hey, do you think you could show this house in Conroe tomorrow? Like maybe in the evening sometime. She said, yeah. I had her meet the clients. They looked at the house. The next day I was at the gym and the husband calls me, hey, Chris, we want to make an offer, $650K cash, 2-week close. I'm like, all right, that, that big deal energy, BDE. I saw someone posted that. I saw someone post that big deal energy on
that what that stands for.
It was so funny. But I was literally at the gym, and this is the power of leverage, right? So I literally just had my phone, my Bluetooth headphones in, and I'm like, okay, $650K, 2-week close. Any other terms, when do you want to close? What's the date? What's your email address? Like, what's all the information? 6 bullet points, probably. Like, do you want the non-realty addendum? Do you want the fridge and washer and dryer included? And I sent that to my transaction coordinator, and her team gets it done pretty fast. I'm like, hey, here's the offer terms. Here are the buyers. Here's their contact info. Please let me know when it's ready for review. And then I go do my workout, and literally, like, by the time I got home, before I got home, I see the link. Hey, here it is in dot loop, ready for your review. So I didn't have to fill in anything. It's already filled in. All I got to do is check, is the price right? Or are the terms right? She's more detail oriented than I am. I'll probably mess something up before she does. So that's the power of leverage. I paid someone to go show the house. They told me what they want to write the offer. So my total time spent's like 5 minutes at this point, right? Like coordinating the showing, coordinating the offer.
Yeah.
And we got the offer accepted. They closed 2 or 3 weeks later. It was like $19,500 commission or something like that.
It's a nice commission.
Nice commission. They closed on the house. Everything went well. I did go by the house one time, even though I didn't really need to. It was just more like, let me show face. It's like the parents of a friend. I can build more rapport in person than I can just on the phone. And yeah, they invited me over. It was cool. They invited me over near Christmas time last year when I was still in town. I had dinner over there, saw the sunset on the lake, and I'm like, man, this is a beautiful house. Right. I hadn't really been there other than like the one time for the inspection.
That's amazing. So from start to finish, you essentially do not have to see a house. I think agents need to understand like how powerful that is, because we know as real estate agents that our careers are very locally like driven. Like you have to be in the area in order to close. But now, and I mean, I know you may not be the first agent to do it, but you're really like, you have it really dialed in to where like you just don't have to see the property at all. And I'm like, I need to know everything about this. And it's very simple, right? You hire a showing agent, whatever. But I'm just like still appalled, like, wow, like, because I'm dealing with a buyer right now, and we've probably seen, we put in an offer now, which just got us.
And some buyers are a little pickier. They want to see 10 houses and then they want you to be there for everything. Like that, this would probably not work in that case. And I'd refer it out.
Right. But I mean, the fact that you've been doing it for quite some time now is kind of like, it's really impressive. So it goes to show, like, if you're a real estate agent, if you want to, be able to be a little bit more mobile or travel or whatever the case is, you can actually do that, but you got to build yourself a team. Now,
exactly.
I was actually talking to an agent yesterday, and he had a referral only model, and I really dove into it because I'm with EXP and he's with EXP, so it was easy for me to get in contact with him. Mm-hmm. And he was just saying like, hey, like, he refers out almost all of his deals, but funny enough, now he's getting away from that model because
you have to refer a lot more to make the same amount of money.
Yeah. So that's the problem. And he was like, yeah, the volume that you would need to like really replace your income and just have a decent income in general would be a lot.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm
100%.
like, yeah. So your model of, just hiring a showing agent, paying them a couple dollars, I mean, it just seems like the most viable thing to do.
Yeah, I do love the referral model and I want to build it up, but it's like the consistency and the lead flow and quality of leads. That's the hard part. But I mean, if you're looking at like a $300,000 price point and you can do 5 of those a month, and then 3% of that is 45 grand in commission, let's say times 0.25, like if you got a 25% referral fee, that's like 11K a month. So you got to refer 5 deals that actually close to
Yes.
make 11K versus just doing that on a single deal on your own.
Yeah.
So I do understand that it is a different game, and you only need to do 1 or 2 transactions a month at that price point to be making, the kind of money that most people, 6 figures, most people are happy to make that, if not like higher mid 6 figures,
Right.
doing 3 or 4 transactions a month on your own versus referrals.
Right.
But if you want, I mean, if it's helpful, I can talk through the buying process and then the listing process from a high level, because it's really just a couple of steps.
Yeah, please run through it. I'm sure everybody needs to hear that, wants to hear that.
Cool. So it's funny, like I can give you 2 examples. I don't know if you saw my story, because I know we're following each other now, but on Thanksgiving Day, the day before Thanksgiving, this last week, a client messages me, hey, or not even a client, it was just like a friend, a contact that I knew. I didn't even know that she was interested in buying a house. She sends me a listing on the MLS. Hey, Chris, I'm interested in this house. Can you help me with it? And I'm like, okay, like, well, cool. Like, do you want to schedule a showing? And she told me, I already saw it this last week and I went to the open house. I'm like, cool, I don't even have to pay for a showing agent. And we wrote up the offer, literally negotiated it and got it accepted on Thanksgiving Day. While everyone's eating turkey and stuff, I'm here like, ooh, let me get this offer accepted before my competition comes in.
Yeah.
And so there we go. I just set her up with a good inspector. They had the inspection done. The inspection period is up tomorrow. So we're just like negotiating the last item things. And I think it's we're under contract at $428,000 or something like that. Pretty nice price point home, right? So let me see, 428. If it closes at that, we're talking about $12,800 commission right there on a house I haven't been to, but I reviewed the report and I trust the inspector. So it's almost like I was there. So the steps for that: really pay a showing agent or have them stop by an open house, like in this case. Go under contract, have your transaction coordinator write up all the offer docs and review it, send it out for signatures, obviously negotiate it and get it accepted or executed. And then really it just comes down to getting the inspection done, doing any final negotiations. If you're like, whoa, it needs way more than we thought, we need a discount or repairs to be done. And then have a solid lender, right? The lender's going to be handling the appraisal and all those things. So, I mean, that's really what realtors do on the buyer side. You find the deal, you negotiate it, you negotiate any concessions or repairs, and maybe you take a nice picture at the closing table. I don't get to do that part, but I still get the 5-star review. So I'm happy with it. My clients are happy with it.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so that's on the buyer side. Now on the listing side, let's run through it.
Yeah, so listing side is just a little more different, because there's like a physical sign in the yard and a lockbox. I actually sent my brother a voice text because like he's working on getting his license in Houston. And right now I've got some signs and stuff stored in my parents' garage, like, real estate signs for sale, and like my lock boxes are at their house. So he'll run errands for me. He doesn't really go inside the house or anything, since he doesn't have like his E&O insurance and he doesn't have his license, but he'll meet up with a realtor and maybe they'll open the super lockbox. So like the shackle and the box are open, and he'll go slap it up on the listing. So he's doing that for me today. There's a listing going live. I told him to just give the sign to the owner to put inside the house, because it's not live yet. I can't have the sign in the yard. Put the Supra, like that blue lockbox, the realtor lockbox, for anyone listening. I know there's different lockboxes in different states in some cases, but put that on the door, put the key in the lockbox, boom, that's it. Like once that's done, I've already got the comps. I already know what it's going to list at. I think this one's going to be $230,000 price point, because you can find comps like, look, this is the same model, 3-bed, 2-bath, 2 doors down. Like that's what it's going to sell for if it looks like that. But it also helps if you have photos from a client. Like, since I'm not physically there to see it and be like, oh, you need to paint this up or change the carpet, I ask, hey, can you send me some photos just for me to see what it looks like right now? And I can give pretty good feedback of like, okay, the house is yellow, like we got to change the color, or like, geez, is this carpet original? You know, without throwing them under the bus, but I'm just like, is this carpet been replaced at all, or is this like 10 years old?
Right.
Oh, we haven't touched it. Okay, we might need to do that.
Right.
So far, the steps would be just run the comps, see
Wow.
if you can get photos from the seller so you can understand what the condition looks like and recommend any repairs, and then have a runner, which in this case was like my brother taking the sign and putting the lockbox. And from there, I can schedule professional photos.
Right.
The vendor that I use has lockbox access for the realtor lockbox. So they can schedule photos like within 24 hours or the next day, maybe 48 hours, depending on how busy they are. They take 24 hours to return it. I put it up in the listing and I can set it to active immediately.
Wow.
And I even asked the photographer, hey, when you're done taking photos, can you put my sign in the yard? So literally I utilize them after they take the photos, like just stick it in there. And if it doesn't work, because sometimes the ground gets really hard, those old school signs. There are vendors who do it. They put the post up and you got to like put the sign somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that that's more difficult sometimes because they're like, hey, where's your sign? I'm like, it was at the front door. Like, I don't know, where did it go? Versus here, the sign is safe and sound inside the house. After they get access to the house, take their professional photos, they can just slap it in the yard for me. I get the photos, I put the listing live. And occasionally I may have some realtors that I work with stop by to like check it out, make sure there's nothing weird going on with the property, especially if it's vacant. Mm-hmm. And that's really it. Wow. Until we get an offer.
That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Like this really makes me excited because it gives me hope to just be anywhere in the world and do exactly what you're doing. Like
you just need a handful of people that you trust. Cause like, obviously my brother, I know he's not going to ghost me unless something bad happened or, God forbid, like a car accident or something happened. Like he's going to do what he says he's going to do. Or I could trust a few people and say like, hey, you're going to be my go-to as long as you're on top of it. Right. The minute a client's at a house and tells me that you didn't show up and you had a no-show, if there's not a valid excuse or reason, like you're kind of off my list, right? Yeah. So once you find people that you trust, it's like they're your boots on the ground. You no longer have to physically be there because they're going to call you, they're going to do it. And he's actually meeting up with the seller this evening. So I'm waiting for a call or text. I'm like, hey, what else do you need me to do? I'm like, that's it. Just put the key, in the lockbox and put it on the door.
That's so cool. So I know you said you have your brother, but like, how else do you find like these boots on the ground essentially? Because like I actually have an interview after this interview, and it's an interview to have a
find somebody.
Yeah, literally. I posted an ad on Indeed, and I was like, showing specialist, real estate showing specialist, and I had like a lot of people apply, so I have like 3 interviews set up. Because I was just asking around in my group of like agents that I know, and it's just like, I don't know, people weren't like that fazed by it, but funny enough, like I feel like if I didn't have business the way like I know a lot of agents don't have business, I would take the opportunity to do that because I'm like,
yeah, hey, I paid this girl $25 just to open the lockbox. Like it probably took her 10 minutes and I paid her 25. Like that's pretty solid, I'd say.
And for me, I'm like, hey, like this is an opportunity for you to get content, get experience, and get paid. Like every property that I've been to, because I do all my marketing on social media, I just record everywhere that I go.
It's free content. That's the only downside now that I'm virtual. I'm like, I don't even have my license in Colorado. So like, I can't just go get access to a house right now. A friend gave me a good tip. He's like, dude, go to open houses. Like just say you're looking for a client and you can get content. Cause that's been my only downside is I can't be like, whoa, check out this kitchen or check out this bathroom. Like I could back in the day in Houston. I could just set up 3 showings to just create content. Like, hey, check out this brand new construction, $500,000.
Maybe you throw in an extra $10 for a video. I don't know.
That's true. I could definitely do that. But I guess part of the fun part of the real estate, a lot of people, obviously it's like personal brand in your face. Having like a selfie facing where I can be in the video versus like them record it. They could record it too. And then I could do a voiceover.
Green screen, TikTok
like,
video.
Check this out. Like you can see the green screen.
There's a realtor on TikTok I follow. I forgot what his name is, but he does like just reaction videos to like houses.
To like showings. That's cool.
Yeah, it's green screen stuff. And he has like thousands of followers. So you can
anything's possible. I mean, honestly, I've seen it all. So I believe it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So what I was saying, so how do you find your boots on the ground besides your brother?
Yeah, so I'd say I know a lot of like the EXP is like more virtual and like people were everywhere, not really like a physical office in many cases, even though you can like go to certain locations and have access to like an office space. So that is the one benefit. I'm like in a traditional KW, and I obviously haven't been there in a while to the office, but I do know people. I've been to trainings out there, and I think there's like 700 something agents at that office. And so there's a couple that I trust, like the transaction coordinator I use was one that's someone who makes 700 grand a year in commissions uses. Like I went to the best of the best, like, hey, who do you use? I'm going to work with her. And so I can get very good contacts that I can trust easily by talking to like the coaches at the office. You know, there's coaches who coach new people that are young, hungry in real estate full time. And I can literally be like, hey, who's the rising stars right now? Like who should I talk to? Because they're hungry. They're down to show 4 houses and make an extra $100 on a Saturday. And they also are willing to learn. So they may pick up nuggets along the way. So I found that they go out of their way. They're like, I can go show it this evening if you want, or tomorrow. They're really responsive. And especially a newer agent who doesn't have the volume or business, they're willing to go. They're like, I want to do real estate. I want to see houses. Cool. I'll go show houses. Once they get busy, that's the only downside. If they get, which is good. I want them to be successful. And I understand that they're going to probably go off on their own. Yeah. But eventually, if they're closing 2-3 deals a month and already making 20-30 grand, they're going to stop doing your Saturday showings for an extra $25 per house. Yeah. But at that point, you can get a referral from them or go find someone else who's new again. Because not to make it sound bad, but showing agents are kind of like not dispensable, but they're very available. Turnover, yeah. Interchangeable. You know, I literally have 3 or 4. If that person's not available, if they don't text me back in 10 minutes, the next person. And then the first person texts me, yeah, I can do it. Hey, sorry, I already got someone else for tomorrow. You know, it literally happens that fast where I'm like, I got 3 or 4 names that I picked from and they haven't let me down yet, knock on wood. So
right. I mean, it kind of goes back to, you know, the lower of a skill set or the lower skilled job is easily replaced, where the higher skilled job is harder to replace. So if they already have the skill of being a good buyer's agent, then of course they wouldn't need you, but they use that position to kind of start
to get up there.
Exactly. And then, you know, that's when they become like, all right, well, I don't need to do this anymore. Now I can just get my own leads and do my own thing, which is fine. But yeah, you got to kind of have them on deck, like next one up, next one up, next one up.
Right. So that's the only downside is like sometimes it's not like you're going to work with them forever, but I mean, that means it's good because their business is going well. I had one person I was working with. She was killing it. She was super excited. And then she started getting a little picky where I'm like, hey, can you go show this house over here? And she's like, oh, I only want to stick to this area. And I'm like, all right, she's starting to do pretty good. And now she's really killing it. So I'm happy for her. She's getting $400,000, $500,000 price point homes, like a couple closings a month in many cases. So I'm like, understandably, she's not going to want to go show houses at like Wednesday at 6 p.m. when it's dark outside, because she's already got her own clients and she's making, you know, great money that way. So
and you can't
totally understand.
Yeah. It's just something it's like you're happy for them, you know?
Yeah. I'm like, cool. You know, it's like the bird flew out of the nest. That's cool. I got to go find more baby birds that are willing to learn and also help me out.
So what's been your main marketing strategy then?
That's been something I've been trying to figure out. I know you mentioned Carrot CEO Trevor Mock. You followed him and his strategy. I've listened to him a lot. I actually went to the Carrot Camp event in Oregon back in May this year as well. And he talks about the hamster wheel. I'm like, man, when I did my little presentation, we all got to share like what we're working on. We got to give and make an ask. And I had like my face photoshopped on a hamster on a wheel because I'm like, that's me.
Yeah.
I definitely feel the hamster wheel where that deal fell on my lap the other day where she sent me the house. It turned into an executed contract the next day. And now that's a potential commission right before Christmas and a house for her. So I couldn't have really predicted that. It's been a little bit more attraction marketing. I know we kind of talked about that on Instagram, like attraction marketing is the way to go.
Yep.
The only downside is I'd say the upsides are obviously they're super motivated. They want to work with you. They're not going to ghost you because they found you. The only downside is it's a little unpredictable. Like I can make all these posts and post on my story and be like, hey, if you need real estate help, DM me. But I don't know, are 2 people going to DM me? Is someone going to DM me in 3 months? Is someone going to hit me up and want to buy a house tomorrow? Like you really can't predict it.
Right.
So it's been a little inconsistent, but I do just continue to track what I can control. You know, how many posts am I making? How many podcasts am I doing? Right. Knowing that, hey, this strategy is working. And I guess the next step, I just saw this on a Facebook group. You know, I'm always in groups and learning off posts. Someone made a good point saying like, hey, don't just join a group or go to church to get leads or whatever people were suggesting. You got to find business partners, like find someone who's a wealth advisor, or be friends with a lender who's willing to refer clients to you because they're actively looking for business.
Yep.
And if you have complementary businesses, they can send you multiple transactions versus you trying to find all these one-off deals, which it's cool. I love helping clients, but would you rather find 10 individual clients or get 10 clients sent to you from one person?
Right.
That's the way to get true leverage. And so I got to do a better job of navigating those waters and developing those relationships. But for now, it's literally been my network, people who have met me, people who I've run into at networking events that have been investors or wanting to be investors. And it's grown from there, referrals and everything like that too.
Wow. That's amazing. So like my form of marketing is strictly like social media and YouTube. Like that's it.
Yeah.
But like you said, I also want to build a referral network of just like professionals who are able to refer you, certain leads.
Yep.
So my thing is like, yeah, it is inconsistent when it comes to like social media and everything. But like you said, control what you can control. So almost every time I post, I get a lead.
There
And
you
so,
go.
like,
Or a question, like, and you're like, ooh, they asked a question. They're thinking about doing something soon.
Exactly. And that's when you start to build your database and you follow up with them and everything like that. Because most leads aren't ready to buy right away or sell, whatever the case is. So you made a good point. You can drive a lot of traffic on social media and all that stuff, but it can be inconsistent because you don't know how many people are going to reach out to you. But the more content that you put out there, the more of the likelihood of people reaching out more consistently. So like the more you show up in their feed, the more that they start to see you and they will reach out.
Yeah. And it's a way higher conversion ratio and close rate, because when someone reaches out, if they're serious, if they're ready, if they want to work with me, I know they reach out to me. Like they're not interviewing usually like 5 different people and trying to see who's going to cut commission or whatever, versus what I see a lot of my friends do who are investors and they're doing paid ads. Every phone call, like I had a friend in town and we went on a hike. And I'm like, I don't got any calls. I got a call at 2 with a client and I don't have to worry about her ghosting me. She's scheduled using my Calendly link and she's going to be on the Zoom call. Versus him, he's like answering calls on the hike, like, okay, yeah, what do you want to do? What's the property address? And like, man, that kind of sucks. Like, yeah, you're getting leads, but you got to answer 20 phone calls. Maybe one of them turns into a deal. Versus me, if 5 people book, like, and 3 of them are serious, they're gonna convert, and maybe the other 2, they might not be ready right now, but in a few months they will be.
Exactly.
Like they come back to you. I don't have to be like, oh, I didn't follow up with this lead 5 times a week. They're going to go with someone else. I'm like, no, in 2 months when they're ready, they're going to hit me up.
Yes.
Like I just had a closing. They had to lease for another year. I didn't even follow up with him. I had talked to him in like 6 months. And then he emailed me out of the blue, like, hey, Chris, we're ready to start the home search again. We closed like 2 months ago. It was like $11,000 commission right there.
Wow. Yeah, it's true. Like when they reach out to you, they are like way more committed to you. Like not every lead, but most of the time they are. Like even one of the ladies that we just got an offer accepted this like yesterday. She reached out to me on YouTube like forever ago, and we've been on this search for a good amount of time. But every time that she reached out, it was like even if I didn't hit her up for like a day or so, she would reach out to you. Yeah, you know what I mean? And
they already made the decision because it's like they've seen your content, they know, like, and trust you.
Yes.
Like you're going to be the person they're going with. It's not like who can do something for me. It's not like they look at Google Maps and they're trying to find a restaurant and they just go to the one that's closest to them. This is a different kind of transaction. Right. They trust you. You have that perceived knowledge and that expert status to them. And so they're going to make it an effort to like work with you. So long as you actually reply, like if you ghost them or you're hard to get a hold of, I understand if they're like, look, I want to work with you, but like, I haven't heard from you in 5 days.
Right.
I'm going to go with someone else, you know?
Right. And that's why I always preach like YouTube is like, that's the long form content is how you're able to build more rapport with somebody. Because if somebody watches a 10-minute video
or podcasts too.
Yeah. They're like locked into you, you know?
I got people binging my content. I got 300 something episodes and they're like, I just binged like 50 episodes this weekend. I'm like, you probably listened to me for 7 hours or something. That's kind of cool.
And that's how they feel more connected to you. So now we're going to talk about YouTube. So I wanted to ask you why you decided to start a YouTube channel. Well, why you decided to, make your channel around real estate. Actually, that's not the question I wanted to ask you. What I wanted to ask you is, why you have your YouTube channel and it's not around real estate. I did see some real estate videos, but it's not totally around real estate. It's like around mindset and a couple other things.
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess I've been trying to figure out what exactly I want to post. Because while I love helping people with real estate and it's a great business, lots of transactions, it is still the hamster wheel that we talked about in terms of one and done. People may not, unless they're investing, they may not buy multiple properties with you for some time. And so you may help a client out, but you know it's going to be 3 or 4 years until maybe they need you again, or maybe they send you one referral versus building up passive income through affiliate marketing and like software products and stuff like that. So I even personally, I don't really post a whole lot about real estate. I'm like, look, it's cool. I know it. I can walk you through the transaction, but I'm not going to make 50 videos on inspections and like termites. And I don't care about it that much, to be honest.
Right.
And there are realtors who do it, who are like, I've been doing this for 40 years and that's all I do is talk about, National Association of Realtors and this conference that I went to, and like they're on all the boards, like not me.
Right.
But I like to talk about stuff that's just more productivity, mindset, things that I'm learning, my own self-growth journey. And it allows me to interact with really cool people that are even outside of my industry, different businesses, different levels. I've interviewed some big guests like Billie Jean is marketing, and
I used to take his course years
yeah
ago. That's how
I interviewed him. I
marketing.
had Dean Graziosi on my show. I've talked to Dan
Yeah.
Fleischman. Like I've got cool connectivity to some of these people
Wow.
that if I was just talking about real estate, maybe I would have Grant Cardone's up there too, but I haven't talked to him yet, but like maybe that's the only person I'd have access to. Whereas here, my audience consists of all entrepreneurs, and that's their customers. That entrepreneurs want to get better at Facebook ads and marketing, right? Versus if it was just real estate, maybe it would be harder to get those guests on my show. But yeah, I just talk about the things that interest me, the things that I love. And I think that that's kind of what has helped me make so much content, is like, I like doing it. I like talking about it.
Yeah.
If I had to make 300 videos about inspection reports, I would have only made 2. It wouldn't have lasted very long.
Right. Wow, that's impressive. You've had some pretty big guests on your show. So you mentioned affiliate marketing. I actually just got like 3 affiliate marketing sales, and I was thinking like, I've been getting them like every day, and I'm like, maybe I should make a video on how to make money online as a real estate agent. And I think I'm going to make a video about that. But okay, so affiliate marketing, how did you learn about that? How do you kind of use it? Like what's your strategy?
Yeah, so I guess whenever you get into the entrepreneur space, everyone, and how are you on time, by the way? You have any other appointments? Because I know we're like,
no, I'm good until like 7.
Okay, cool. Just checking, because I'm like, sometimes people are still talking and it's like, I had to call a client 2 minutes ago.
No, I'm
but
good.
Entrepreneurs, when they get into it, they start reading all the books and you start getting into marketing, and like you maybe get into the ClickFunnels group on Facebook and you're like, oh, Russell Brunson. And
that's a rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, I've been down the rabbit hole. I've built a million funnels and websites that made no money, but like I learned how to do it. And I'm even rereading right here. I got Russell Brunson's Traffic Secrets book.
I have that book too.
I've read all the .com expert secrets, and now Traffic. I'm reading this again and I'm like, oh my gosh, the Dream 100, and like copying their hashtags and I'm learning so much that I didn't catch the first time, because now I'm actively working on improving my social media presence and my traffic in general. So that's kind of what got me on there. Obviously there's a lot of affiliates, and they talk about ClickBank and different products that and even an Amazon affiliate program. We all tell people all the time stuff that we recommend. Like I've told a million people, oh my gosh, you got to use Calendly. You got to use Calendly. It's so cool. It changed my life. And I still it's on my whiteboard. I need to create an affiliate link, because I probably got like 100 people to sign up over the last year, if not more. And that could be residual monthly recurring revenue from just using my customized link and just telling people, hey, go to chrisbello.com/Calendly for free 1-month trial, Right. So it's something that like all of us share what we love, what products we use. You might as well, like now, if someone asks for what book is that, I send them my affiliate link. I'm like, here it is. If you're going to buy it, I might as well get a little kickback for it,
Even if it's $1 or $2, like it's something, right?
But at scale is what, I'm not quite there yet. I'd love to be making 10 grand a month with affiliate income. I honestly have not committed the time to do that. I haven't even built out all these links that I'm thinking about. Yeah. But I do have some affiliate commissions. I see a couple sales come in every now and then. I think I saw Bluehost, or I got like $100 commission. I'm like, whoa, that's cool. I wonder which podcast did someone listen to go to my website, to click on that link and actually sign up.
Right.
So this stuff is like one and done in a way. You can create it, and 2 years from now, you can make money off of it from someone finding your content.
Yes, that's so true.
So I understand the potential.
Yes, the potential is crazy with affiliate marketing. Like I said, I just got like 3 sales today off of a YouTube video that I made months ago. And the crazy
It
thing
snowballs.
is, it snowballs. It's like it only gets bigger and bigger, like more views and more people like signing up and everything like that. I'm like, wow, this is great. And this is just one product. So I'm like, imagine if I took it to the next level and was like, you know, I pushed all these other, you know, products that I have, not crazy, but like, you know, if I'm putting it in put my links in my descriptions and everything like that. So
yeah, I see people all the time, like videos, they're like, here's my camera kit and here's my podcast lighting or whatever.
Yep.
And they've got their affiliate links in all their videos. So anyone watching these videos, especially if they're getting like hundreds of thousands of views or they're in the millions or whatever, like the little kid, the 7-year-old who reviews toys and is a millionaire or something, if you ever heard of him, that's probably what he does too. Like, hey, here's this toy I'm reviewing. Here's the link to get it from Toys R Us. Here's my affiliate link. And kids making bank, right? Because kids are watching the video, buying the toy, using his customized link because he's driving that traffic.
Right.
And you don't even need millions of followers to make a decent income. Like, you know, you just need the right people following you, listening to your stuff. If you're adding value, they like what you have to say. They're going to click over and they're going to make that purchase using your link.
Yeah, you just need your dedicated audience, your dedicated followers.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. So now that we've kind of broadened the scale a little bit, or whatever you want to call it, but we've kind of expanded past real estate. What's your I guess your plan, or how do you plan to like grow? Do you want to stay in real estate? Do you want to get out of real estate? Do you want to, like, what do you want to do? What's your long-term plan?
That's a good question. I guess, to be honest, I haven't even created any 2022 goals for real estate. I'm just like, look, I mean, my only goal is I want to make at least 300K in commissions or income. And I don't even care how many transactions. I'm not like, I got to do 50 transactions to consider it a success. I'm kind of just like, let me put that more on the passive side. And my main goal is I'd really love to, I've been toying with this idea. I'd really love to launch a course or a membership community, like a paid community, grow it to 200 members. I recently interviewed a guy on my podcast and he just keeps growing his memberships every single week. He's like, we're at 770 members now. And like, it keeps going up. And I think he charges like 97 a month. So the dude's making like, if everyone's paying 97 a month, he's making like 70K a month recurring with people in his membership, and he's adding value. He's doing a weekly call. I personally see myself loving and enjoying that a lot more than, all right, let's negotiate this $2,000 discount because there's a crack in the stucco, you know, like,
oh my God, yes.
And it's also more of the recurring thing because sure, I've had the 20K commission, things like that, but it's still like a quick dopamine hit and then it's gone, right? You're pretty much fired. As soon as the deal's closed, you got to go get another one.
Yeah.
You got to go help another client.
That recurring income.
Exactly. And it's not just about the recurring thing, but like I already love doing that. I do calls, I do podcasts, and I don't really charge. I do a lot of like free, you know, like how we connected the first time. I'm just like, I like to do this. I'd like to go on a 30-minute call and just share what I've learned. Why not do that and invest the time and still earn an income that's more powerful, that's more predictable, while adding value to a community and really pouring more into it instead of like sporadically helping 3 people a week on a Zoom call. I can just do a group coaching call and bring in experts. So that's what I see for myself on top of investing in real estate and helping a few clients. And yeah, I hope that kind of makes sense. It's just, I'm trying to think bigger and not just be like, oh, I want to do 10 deals a year in real estate. Like I want more, you know?
Yeah. So do you mean coaching in a sense of like within what like industry?
So I'm very big on productivity, automation, delegation. Like I'm very good at literally everything. If someone signs up on Calendly, there's a Zapier integration, they get on my email list, and like all these things are done in the background where I set it up once at the front and I don't have to manually like update my email list or do this or that. And so I think helping business owners, that's what I'd love to do, is just get small business owners to automate their life and their business so that they can buy more time for themselves. Because literally I've done that. I can work 5 hours a week. Like this one deal that's under contract, I maybe did 2 hours of calls and emails back and forth, but everything else is automated and I have the people in place to help out. And so if I can help others do that, where they're not spending 10 hours when they can just spend 2, and now they can go do more business, or they can go fishing, or they can go watch their kid's soccer game. That will empower others to do more in less time, like I have figured out how to do for my own business.
That is huge, because that's one of the biggest things about being a small business owner in particular is like
You're wearing all the hats.
you're wearing all the hats, you're the bottleneck. And it's like, unless you can start to delegate and automate certain things, you're not going to have that freedom. And that's what I'm realizing too. That's why we're having this conversation. I'm like,
See, that's why I'm like, I should teach more people this.
you should. I'm like, I can't, like, I'm not going to make it in real estate if I keep doing everything myself. Like, literally, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I see people and they're like showing houses and they're going and putting the sign out and they're getting the photographs. I'm like, really? I already sold this house. I haven't even been there. Like, I'm on to the next, and they're still out showing houses to the same client, you know?
No, it's tough. It's tough. So automation is definitely key. And I plan to update you with
Let me know.
with the new system of how my deals are going. But funny enough, I also don't want to necessarily like be an agent or work in the sales part of real estate for the rest of my life. I think it's great. It does offer you, you know, like a lucrative career and everything like that. But I do also want to get into the more passive forms of income, like
rentals and stuff.
Well, yeah, rentals for sure. Real estate is always going to be there, like investment properties.
Yeah, it's great.
But like other things, more so like online, like affiliate marketing, like we were talking about, and just like, you know, coaching. And I previously had a social media digital marketing agency, which I learned to create from Billie Jean.
There we go.
2016 or 17 or something like that. So I'm all about like just virtual.
That's me too. Like, there's all these realtors I know who they're killing it. You know, like I said, I know someone making 700 grand a year, 800 grand in commission. She's crushing it. She's showing houses. Like, she was responding like the day she had a baby. Like, literally, you see the memes of like, in a normal world, a normal job, people are like, hey, I'll be out of the office, you know, for surgery. Please contact me in 1 month. Versus real estate, it's like, hey, I'm going to be under, give me like 20 minutes to respond. Like, literally, you're on your freaking surgery bed responding as a real estate agent, because it's just so nonstop, and you have certain deadlines you have to meet. You know, inspection period, earnest money has to be dropped off at the title company at this time. Versus the more passive model of, you and I are content creators. We can create content, put it out there. You can be sleeping, someone's watching a video at 2 a.m. on something you talk about, they make a purchase, and you literally get paid like whatever, once a month or twice a month from the affiliate provider or from the software provider. That is what I see as being more scalable. And I am searching for more of that passive income, because right now it's great. We figured out how to make money helping clients and doing deals, but it's still a high paying job, because if I'm not working, if I'm not talking to clients and helping negotiate these things, then I'm not making that income, right? It's all like, you can make 10, 20 grand, but you got to actually do the work. Versus, I think I saw someone post about this. Would you rather have like, you know, 5 million now, or like $5,000 a month forever or something, or 10,000 a month? And I was like, dude, if you can figure out how to make the consistent passive income immediately, like 10 grand a month forever, you're retired. Like, you don't have to work anymore as long as your expenses fall below that.
Right.
And so that's what I'm really trying to achieve. And I know it sounds like you are as well, is like the affiliate stuff, the online game. Real estate on the side is cool, but like building up what we're passionate about, making a video and having people purchase services or software that we recommend, that I think is the move.
That's the long-term play. And that's why like I created my YouTube ebook. It's like a guide just to help agents, you know, build their online presence and everything like that.
And it's got affiliate links.
Yeah, it's got all my affiliate links.
It better. I was like, I already know where you're going. Trust, I did the same thing.
Yeah. I was like, yes, I use this equipment. Like, I gave all the equipment I use, but then I also gave a whole list of equipment that you don't like, you know, that it's
you
not
don't really need, but if you want it.
Yeah, everything like that. So I'm like, that's, you know, and then after that, I plan to like go the course, you know, a little bit later down the line and everything like that. But yeah, everything like, you know, anything online, I'm just all for, because I just feel like, you know, I hate driving. Like, not that I hate driving, let me not say that, but like just running around through traffic and just having it. Like, I want to go out when I want to, not because I have to go show a house or whatever the case is, you know?
Right. No, I remember there was there were a couple moments, and I know we're probably here at the end of at our time too. I got a call in like 15 minutes, so I still I'm good. But I remember like a client called me, there was a listing, and I had been meaning to go by there, but like I had been busy and it was a little far. I'm like, I don't really want to go out there. I'll go out there eventually. And I get a call at like 7:30 a.m. on a Saturday. And he's like, hey, did you put the key in the lockbox yet? And I'm like, no, why? Well, I've got some people going out there to clean it out. Like they're almost there. I'm like, I literally got ready in like 5 minutes, drove 20 minutes to put this key in the lockbox. So I'm like, I never want to do this again.
Yeah.
Like I hate having to do stuff and kind of like jump at their command type thing. Like,
Yeah.
and in a way, your client's your boss, you know,
Yeah.
you got to kind of like work for the client, even though we don't really have a boss. I really just don't like being told what to do or being spoken at in a certain way. I'm just like, no, I live life on my own terms. And that's why I got into what I'm doing. But sometimes it's tough if a client's demanding or needy or they kind of talk down on you. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is not going to work. Like, Lord help me, because I'm like this close to firing this client, you know?
No, I've been there. I've been there.
And there's great clients. Like I love most of my clients, but sometimes, you know, it's like people, you're dealing with people, people get stressed. Some people don't handle things very well. They get upset. They snap at you, even though they don't mean to, but still I kind of take things personally. Cause I'm like, I never do that to anyone else. So I don't like when it happens to me, you know?
Yeah. Which is,
So
I mean, that's real estate, guys.
that's
I mean,
life too.
yeah, that's life. Real estate is still great as an agent, but eventually you do want to, just get into more passive ways to make money. That's all, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if you're
For
an
sure.
agent and you're just investing, and like that's cool. Investing in real estate, then that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
As long as you can eventually like make your way out of being an agent, because you can only drive around showing houses, for so long. You don't want to be like
Exactly.
70 years old still doing that.
I'm not trying to do that at 70. I'm trying to be like, okay, cool. I've got rental income from these properties, 2 Airbnb investments, and like Bitcoin or whatever else,
Right, right.
you know the move. But I think as long as you're thinking long term, like realizing, yeah, we're young, we're healthy, we can do all this stuff now. But do we see ourselves doing this in 50 years? If not, we've got to build our business in a way that allows us to actually escape and not be stuck on that hamster wheel.
Exactly. So before I let you go, I just want to ask you, since you're all about mindset, what is a mindset hack for real estate agents, for people in general? Like what would you give as advice or mindset hack for people?
My motto of my podcast, like I actually picked this out when I first started my podcast, and it's actually been I've stayed true to it. It's less dreaming, more doing, because so many people are like, I wish I could do that, or yeah, that would be cool, but they have all these excuses for why they can't do something, whether it's get into real estate or do investment properties or even an agent on helping people, right? So I think it's important to actually stop dreaming all the time and start actually taking action, sign up for a real estate school, go to those events, network, tell people, maybe you have to drop your commission on a deal because you messed something up and the client's really losing money because you didn't know what you're doing. Like that's how you get started, right? So I'd say that's my advice, but also think bigger and test what you think is possible, because so many people, they have that mindset belief that you have to be there for every showing. You have to do all these things. Like if you don't go to the inspection, you're a terrible real estate agent. I'm like, I'm still getting 5-star reviews without going to these properties. So I think that's a myth that a lot of people need to break. So I challenge people to think outside the box and actually challenge what they believe to be true, because there's a lot of things that are possible that we probably assume are not, just because the old school people say that it wasn't,
Right. That's amazing. Yeah. So less dreaming,
more doing.
That is true. That's true. Well, Chris, I really, really appreciate this. It's crazy how we connected. I literally saw a video of you and I was like, I gotta reach out and find this guy and have him on my channel. And I really appreciate all the advice you've given. You've helped me now, and I hope others, how to become a virtual real estate agent. That's amazing. It's gonna save a lot of people a lot of time.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lillian, for having me on here, for reaching out. I hope that there was some value there. It actually sounds so simple that I'm like, was that a breakthrough? But at the same time, I think it's reassuring for you to know it is that simple. You can just you're already probably doing it. It's just a matter of plugging someone else into it.
Yes.
And there you go. But yeah, thank you once again for the opportunity to jump on here and share my story and what I've learned.
Please tell people where they can find you and about your podcast and everything like that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm most active on Instagram. I'm trying to get to 2 million followers, but I have like 2,000 something real followers. Chris Bello _, just CHRIS, as in boy, ELLO _ on Instagram. And then if you go to chrisbello.com, you can find my podcast, my free guide with all my affiliate links in there.
I'll put all the links to your pages down in my description.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be awesome. I really appreciate it. But at the end of the day, it's just like a matter like how you connected with me. I just love connecting with people and helping. And I think that's why my sights are on the goal, or my goals for 2022 is to build a membership group, because I'm already doing this. I just want to do it more at scale. But yeah, if you could drop those links in there, that would be perfect. And I really do appreciate it.
For sure. That's the least I can do. You gave me an hour, almost an hour and a half of your time for free. Like this is, I'm not
Thank you.
taking
See,
this.
that's the cool thing with content. I got to talk to Billie Jean and like to Dean Graziosi. You get access when you have a platform, which is cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. I definitely got to watch those interviews on your YouTube, because I mean, Dean is huge, Billy is huge. Like these people are huge. But today is all about you being huge. And again, I appreciate it. Let me not keep you any longer, guys. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel. I'll put Chris's links down below. Subscribe to his channel, watch his podcast, follow him. And until the next time, guys, I will see you later. Have a great day, everybody.